I can start off with a joke and tell you I got till Tuesday morning to be here, so I would really appreciate everyone's attention so we can begin the program. Good evening, and thank you all for coming and making this the most successful banquet in the history of congregation at Das Yeshurun. First and foremost, a tremendous yasher koach to the ad book committee headed by Faye Myers, your committee of Shosh Friedman, Marna Schreiber, Noemi Skidelsky, and Rachel Zimmerman have produced a lasting memory for the Cohens as well as for Das Yeshurun. I truly thank you all for saying yes and going beyond the call of duty. As you may or not be aware of, Rabbi Cohen has been our family Rav for the same 25 years as he has been the Mora Diasra of Yeshurun. Perhaps that is why I was asked to be chairman once again of another Yeshurun dinner. Rabbi Cohen and Michal are so much more to our family than a Rav and a Rebbeztin. He is the Mora Derech, the one who shows us where we should be heading and how to get there, even when we cannot see it ourselves. What is the secret of the Cohen's success? How have they encouraged all of us and many more people throughout the city and the world to reach beyond their comfort levels in their Avodas HaKodesh? What is the magical formula that every person the Cohens connect with within a short period of time are learning more, davening with more kavanah, and striving for a special connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I think the following chazal is the answer. The Sisei Chachamim in Parshas Toldos explains why Yaakov Avinu chose to learn in Aver's yeshiva instead of his grandfather Shem's yeshiva, even though Shem was a bigger Talmid Chacham. While some maintain that Shem and Aver headed a yeshiva together, the Sisei Chachamim learns each had their own. He says that when it comes to learning, a person should learn from Mimi Shalibo Chafetz, loosely translated as the one who he connects with best. We see from here that how one feels about his Rebbe can be such an important factor in his growth that even Yaakov Avinu valued it above learning from the bigger Talmid Chacham. To me, as well as to many of us here in this room, this is the secret ingredient. We care very deeply about the Cohens and know the feelings are reciprocated. The friendship we share and the connection developed as a result spurs us all to accomplish. Our shul has been built upon this foundation. My speech really ended here, but I remember Rabbi Cohen, whenever he gets up to speak on occasion, he would make the following comment that the next words that are coming out, either I reviewed it with my wife and she told me not to say it, or I reviewed it and she thought it was a good word. The truth of the matter is I did not review this next part with my wife, but I'm going to say it anyway. We can all be proud of what our shul has accomplished under the leadership of our Rabbi and Rebbeztin these past 25 years. The question is, where do we go from here? We certainly cannot rest on our laurels, but we should continue to strive and steig. We are all familiar with the phrase, no child should be left behind, in reference to educational policies. I'm suggesting that our shul's motto should be, no member should be left behind. Let us continue to grow as a kehillah, meeting everyone's needs in the spirit of Achdus. Every Shabbos should be a Shabbos of Achdus. It is now my pleasure to introduce someone who really needs no introduction here in Chicago. Someone that I have gotten to know much better over the last 5 years as my role as president of the Associated Talmud Torahs. I have Rabbi Cohen to thank for that presidency. Rabbi Avram Chaim Levin, please come forward to give us some divrei chizuk.
We all join in paying tribute to one of the outstanding Rabbanim of America, Rav Zev Cohen, as he completes a quarter century of service to Congregation Hadash Yeshurun and the entire Chicago Jewish Kehillah. Although born and educated in America, Reb Zev is a model of the European Rabbanim, the Gdolim of the past. His Rabbanis is built upon Limud HaTorah, Amelis V'Gadlus B'Torah, elevating the level of the Balabatim with Shiurim of Torah and the Torah Hashkafa. Some of you may know that I come from a family of a long tradition of Rabbanis. Both of my grandfathers were Gdoilei Rabbanim in Lithuania. My father, Zechatzak Levrocha, his Rabbanis spanned 64 years. First 10 years as a Rav in Lithuania, and then 54 years as the Rav Roshi, the Chief Rabbi of Detroit, Michigan. I therefore had a true desire that I should also enter into Rabbanis. But my Rebbe Muvik in the late 40s and 50s, Moreinu Rabbeinu Agoyin, Rabbi Meir Bloch, Zechatzak Levrocha, told us not to enter into the American Rabbanis because there are as yet no Balabatim who will know and appreciate what a true Rav should look like. First, the American yeshiva system has to produce Balabatim who will need and appreciate Rabbanim who are Gedolei Torah and Gedolei Psak. And then we'll be able to have our young men go into Rabbanis. So he told us that we should all go into Chinuch, become Rosh Yeshivas and Mechanchim, and educate and produce generations of Balabatim, true Balabatim, true B'nai Torah, that will appreciate Rabbanim. How fortunate is the Chicago Kehillah to have such a shul, such a Kehillah like Hadash Yeshurun, with the highest level of Balabatim, who appreciate and value having a Rav of the caliber of a Rav Zev Cohen, with his godless B'Torah, his godless in Psak, and all Chelkei Shulchan Aruch, his Yirah Shamayim, and his deep understanding of my Morach Chazal. How Ashrei Chelkom that they're zeicha to have the service of a Rav Zev Cohen as their spiritual leader. With all of Reb Zev's tirdas and lilmoid or lalamed and carrying the achrayas of the kehillah and of his shul, he still finds the time and energy to be a best friend and mentor to so many in Chicago. Reb Zev would never have been able to accomplish as much as he did without the assistance of his dear Rebbeztin, who with her great many talents, a very, very talented individual, with her great talents and everything she does for the community and for the shul. But the Rebbeztin has set an example for all the Rebbetzins in the community to follow. So it is a privilege and a schus for myself personally to work together with Rav Zev Cohen on so many important projects in Chicago. I will be Messiah, giving a bracha to everyone here, all assembled. Everyone should be zoichet to arichas yomim v'shonim. And arichas yomim is not enough, but everyone has to have good health. Yeshurun should bless all of you with nachas, bracha, v'atzlocha. We should all be zoichet to simchas and be zoichet to bekorav b'yomeinu, to hear the footsteps of Mashiach.
Good evening, everybody. Yasher Koach to the Rosh Hashiva for the Divrei Chizuk and the Divrei Bracha. Looking around this room and knowing that this is a shul dinner would basically leave one speechless, but you're not going to be that lucky. I know that nobody really came to hear me speak, not even my wife, well, especially not my wife. I was given 3 minutes. It's not going to happen, but I will do my best. I notice on the program that I'm representing both myself and my co-president, Mr. Herschel Block, who graciously ceded his time to me. But I will try to be as short as I can be. To the thank yous that Mr. Abramczyk just mentioned, I want to add a thank you to the dinner chair people, Mr. and Mrs. Aaron Kay, Mr. and Mrs. Michael Klein, Dr. and Mrs. Avi Stein, Mr. and Mrs. Rafi Zimmerman. A special thank you to the dinner co-chair people as listed in the program. I got to say that one of the best decisions I made as a member of the Presidium was to choose the chair people for this dinner. And I had to squeeze, and I had to push, and I had to twist arms a little bit, as they are both very, very busy people. But I knew that it would be worthwhile to have Mr. Joey Abramczyk and Mr. Steve Moretsky as co-chair people. And one of the reasons that it makes it, I knew that it would be worthwhile is besides their qualities, I knew that I would also be bringing in the qualities of Elka Abramczyk and Malcolm Moretsky for everything that they did and added to tonight's evening. Our shul does not have a very large staff, and to put together a dinner like this really is the work of a lot of volunteers, and a yasher koach to all of them, but a yasher koach to that skeletal staff that we do have who've been working very, very hard as they do all year round. Thank you very much to Bobby Nussbaum for everything she does for the shul, and she's been doing for the shul for many, many, many years, and to our new Director of Development since a year ago, Rab Mordechai Milanchuk, whose hands are in everything that you see around. And happy birthday to Rabbi Milanchuk. As a member of the Presidium and probably the outgoing member of the Presidium, I've probably stayed, as I'm doing tonight, a little too long in that position, but I want to say thank you. I looked today at my Outlook, and in my Outlook, I pretty much, once I look at an email, I try to file it away so that I don't have a lot of things in my inbox, and I have a box called Yeshurun. I've been a Presidium member for 3 years now. I noticed that I had 5,963 emails that were filed in the Yeshurun box. I don't plan to ever look at them again, but you know, that's in my filing system, I do that. I can tell you that of those 5,963, my co-presidents, Mr. Shalom Abowitz for the first 2 years, and Mr. Herschel Block, really are the ones who responded to them, at least to 98% of those, because I know that I didn't. So yasher koach to Shalom Abowitz, who served for 2 years with me before, and to Mr. Herschel Block, who came on about a half a year ago, and we appreciate everything that you've both done for the shul. One of the benefits of having a co-president with me is that I don't make announcements every Shabbos. I think that deserves a big hand. Also, being involved in the shul on a regular basis, I want to give a special yasher koach to Bruce Nedwin and Shia Goldmeyer, who together are the heads of the House Committee, seeing to it that when things break down, they get fixed. as quickly as they possibly can, given the economic circumstances that the shul is in, and doing the best that they can, sometimes in very, very difficult circumstances. They're the ones that are called when there's an emergency, and we thank you. And I would also like to give a special thank you to the young women who have taken over the leadership of the Sisterhood Presidium last year. My daughter-in-law, Tzipi Wengro, and Ilana Candleman, who really have revitalized the sisterhood, which for a few years had not really been watched over. Our shul continues to look forward to our continued partnership with our new tenant and really partner, the after-school program of the Walder Science Center and the high school, the Netzach Eliyahu High School. Pretty soon they're going to actually be, I guess, breaking ground, so to speak, and redoing that part of the building that they are going to be occupying, and we're looking forward to a long-term relationship at Bias Gold Tzedek, when the shul, the program, and the school will all go to Yerushalayim together. You were outside, so I'm not going to talk about how many minyona, how many shiurim. I just want to point out that this year the shul added a Benos Tzion program, which is probably one of the largest shiurim in the city. There are some 40 women who participate in that on a regular basis. We also have a huge listing for the Chevra Shas, which is something that we kind of put together this year, both to recognize the people in our shul who learn Daf Yomi or Daf HaShavua, Yashar Koach to all of the members of the Chevra Shas. I want to talk about parking lots for a few minutes, if that's okay. There was a time that when a shul wanted to build in Chicago, they went to the alderman, and there are rules. The rules say that if you have so many pews, for each, 5 pews, you have to have 1 parking space. Whatever it may be, there are some rules. And Orthodox shuls would say, our main services are on Shabbos, and we don't need pews because we don't need parking spots because we don't drive on Shabbos. And yes, a lot of shuls, Baruch Hashem, the city has seen a number of shuls that have grown, and they don't really have large parking lots. We, Baruch Hashem, I believe, and it's a strange thing to pat our back about, but we are the shul, the Orthodox shul, that has the biggest parking lot in the city of Chicago. But that is not really enough. I would ask any one of you to come by our parking lot at around 7:45 any morning, when the 7:15 minyan has not yet finished and people are beginning to come for the 8 o'clock minyan, and try to find a parking space. That is really the indication of how much our shul has grown. And that is all due to the leadership of the Rabbi and the Rebbeztin, Rabbi and Mrs. Zev Cohen. I'm planning, before I leave office, to sit down with Mayor Daley, the former Mayor Daley, and see if we could possibly sell off the parking lot and resolve all of our economic problems that way. I'm not sure that people would appreciate it, but at least we can maybe make a few $1 billion. Looking at things that the shul has done and will be doing, we're looking forward to a project that has just begun, and that is we plan, hopefully within the year, to publish a sefer with 25 drushes of Rabbi Cohen's to recognize the 25 years that he has been Rav of the shul. The name of the sefer will be something like Kosomar, and we're looking forward to being able to get that out sometime over the course of the next year. Tonight's Sfira, which we can't count yet until sometime after Shkia, which means by the time I'm done with my drasha. No. Tonight's Sfira in the Sfiros is the Sfira of Yesod Shabi Yesod. Okay, those who say there's 7 weeks, 7 days, and there's Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. Every week has a name, every day has a name. Tonight will be Yesod Shabi Yesod, which is really, Kabbalistically, is related to Yosef HaTzadik. But looking at the words of Yesod Shabi Yesod, if I could use a little bit of darshanic license, Yesod Shabi Yesod means the foundation of the foundation. And the foundation of our shul and the foundation of the world. The world stands on Torah, Tefillah, and Gemilas Chasadim. And if you want to look at those first two foundations, the Yesod B'Yesod, it's Torah and Tefillah. And the combination of Torah and Tefillah is what our shul represents. And the reverence and the fervor for which we have in our shul for Torah and Tefillah, we can all look to the leadership of Rabbi and Mrs. Cohen for pointing us in the right direction. Yesterday in shul, Rabbi Schwartz spoke, Rabbi Schwartz Shlita, the Rebbeztin, and he spoke about the 3 E's that a Rav needs to have: energy, exuberance, and exhilaration. And he pointed to Rabbi Cohen saying that he does represent all of that. And I know that it's very hard to add on to the words of Rabbi Schwartz, but I would like to add an additional E, and that is effectiveness. That he has taken his energy, his exuberance, and his exhilaration, and he truly has been an effective Rav in terms of making our shul into the makom of Torah and Tefillah that it is today. 25 and a half years ago or so, I got a phone call from someone who then I just knew as Zev. It was somebody who I used to see when I used to go to the kollel and learn on a fairly regular basis at night. And he called me up because he was being considered by the committee that was looking for a Rav in our shul. I happen to have been a member of that committee also. But I got a phone call, and the phone call went like this: Heshi, do the balabatim in the shul want to grow? That's all he needed to know about whether he wanted to take this position. Do the balabatim in the shul want to grow? And the truth is, I really didn't know the answer to that question. But I thought that he would make a good Rav to the shuls, for the shuls. So I said, yes, that's what they want. And for 25 years, he's been trying, and Baruch Hashem, he's been succeeding. Rabbi Cohen and I share some similar backgrounds. We both come from Polish Yidden, who are Ger Hasidim, but more important than that, we share a Zayda. Actually, our immediate Zaydis, I think, may have davened together in the Gerish Stiebel on the Lower East Side sometime in the 1930s, 20s, 30s. But we share another Zayda, and that's Aharon HaKohen. We both happen to be Kohanim. So if I can skip a couple of parashios and go to Parshas Bahaloscha, and with this I'm going to conclude. Parshas Bahaloscha, we know, begins with the mitzvah of Aaron HaKohen lighting the menorah in the Mishkan every day, on a daily basis. And it says, Vayas Kain Aaron, and Aaron did so. And I'm going to say a word that everybody has heard and everybody knows. And Rashi says, Lahagid Shvacho Shel Aaron Shaloshina. It says that Aaron did so, to say that Aaron didn't change. He did exactly what he was told. And everybody asked the question, well, do we expect if Aaron was given a mitzvah that he's going to do it any differently? If the mitzvah was light it from right to left, was he going to light it from left to right? What does it mean, Lahagid Shvacho Shel Aaron Shaloshina? And there are many, many answers that are given to this question. And I think most of the Olam is familiar with the answer that's given by the Kotzker Rebbe. The Kotzker Rebbe said that Aaron HaKohen lit the menorah from Rosh Chodesh Nisan of the second year in the Midbar till the day that he was Nifter, which was, I believe, Rosh Chodesh Av, in the 40th year. 39 years, Aaron HaKohen went to light the menorah. Lahagid Shvacho Shel Aaron Shaloshina. He never changed. Every single day he did it with the same, the Kotzker Rebbe says he did it with the same fervor, with the same hislahavos. Okay, somebody fell asleep. With the same fervor, with the same reverence, with the same hislahavos, with the same bren, with the same geschmack as he did it the first day. That's a challenge, to be able to do a mitzvah every single day and to never change. Rabbi Cohen, for the last 25 years, has been asking us, change. You can grow. You can be different. I remember when Obama was running the first time, and we can change was his theme. That became Rabbi Cohen's theme. You can all change. You're all doing great, but you can become better. But I'll tell you something. One thing that has not changed for 25 years is Rabbi Cohen. The message has always been the same. And the message has been there with the same geschmack. He always gets up there with a smile. He always gets up there and he compliments us, tells us where we've gotten to and where the next step should be. So I think if you want to know why our parking lot is full, and when you're driving around there in the morning and muttering about why you can't find a parking spot, there's your answer. Rabbi and Mrs. Zev Cohen, we thank you for everything that you've done. Mirz Hashem, we're looking forward to someday we'll buy the houses on Tui, we'll knock them down, and we'll expand the parking lot. Thank you all. I ask you to please direct your attention to the video screens for a special message in honor of Rabbi and Mrs. Zev and Michal Cohen.
Before we continue, I would like to acknowledge and say thank you to A.Y. Karsh and Moshe Karsh of Zichronot Video, not only for tonight's video, but for filming and having the camera on the evening and putting together the slideshow that we were able to enjoy during dinner, which had some truly outstanding pictures and memories for many of the people here of our younger days. For those of us who have spent a number of years in Adas Yeshurun, and we have not quite been there the 25 years that Rabbi Cohen and Rebbeztin Cohen have, but we've had the opportunity to watch our next speaker grow from a young boy, growing up in the home of a community Rav in Rebbeztin, and growing up into a fine young adult and a Talmud Chacham and a Rebbe. And it's our pleasure to welcome back Rabbi David Elisha Cohen to speak on behalf of the Cohen family. And perhaps, I'm not sure if this is the first time we've given him the, the pulpit since his bar mitzvah, but here he is.
Bereshus, my parents, Bereshus, my grandfather, Bereshus, my grandmother, who unfortunately is not here with us tonight. She should be zeichet to refuah shalema. Bereshus, the Rebbeztin, Bereshus the Shiva, Bereshus the Ishkel, Bereshus my Rebbeim, Rav Respel and Rav Hoberman, who have joined us tonight. And Bereshus, everyone who came to join together in this simcha. This is the third dinner that I am speaking at for Kahal Adas Yeshurun, and there are several things which have remained the same and several things which have changed. The first time I spoke was in this very hotel 25 years ago. The shul hosted an inaugural dinner for their new Rav, and someone thought it would be a good idea for the Rav's children to speak. So my mother wrote up a drasha, and myself, my brother Shmuley, my sister Brachalea had to stand on chairs to be able to be seen, and we spoke. We're still in the same hotel. I no longer need a chair. At that first dinner, we had 100 members in the shul. My father's beard was fully brown, and we were serving fish balls at Shalashuddis. I'm not going to tell everybody which things have remained the same and which things have changed, but I will tell you that a few days ago, I did notice that my beard is no longer fully brown. There's a very unique feeling in this room tonight. It's a feeling that I personally have felt, I think, almost from the moment that the plans were announced for tonight's dinner. A certain feeling of a connection, a certain feeling of this is not just an anniversary dinner. There's a deeper feeling here. And I'd like to try to explain this feeling based on a vart in last week's parsha. There's a famous Rashi that Parshas Bahar begins with the halachas of Shemitah to teach us that the same way Shemitah was said at Har Sinai, all the mitzvahs were said at Har Sinai. And the Sfas Emes continues this thought into the next inyan which is discussed in the parsha, and he says, what is the juxtaposition between Shemitah and Eved Ivri? Why are the two of them together? And the Sfas Emes relays the following rather famous yesod. He says like this: we have two relationships with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called a melech. He's the melech malchei hamlachim. We consider ourselves avodim to Hashem. We became avodim to Hashem because we went through Mitzrayim. And it's a very special relationship to be an Eved Hashem, and it's one that we can never lose. But there's a second relationship that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's called banim. When we call HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avinu, Avinu of Harachamon, we refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a father. And that, the Sfas Emes says, is something which we can have, but also something we can lose. That level is dependent on Kiyum HaTorah. On Kiyum HaTorah. And therefore he says that Eved Ivri is next to Shemitah to tell us the following. To be an Eved, that we always have, we'll never lose that. But to be considered banim, it requires certain things. One of the reasons we left Eretz Yisrael the first time was because Klal Yisrael did not keep Shemitah. And the land of Eretz Yisrael said, if you don't let me rest, I will have to rest myself because you're not here. And we were sent away from our father's home. We lost the level of banim. Why did we lose the level of banim? Why did we come to a point that we did not keep Shemitah? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself had to explain that to us. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Al Ozum es Tairasi, that we did not keep the Torah. We did not keep the Torah. Which means that when Klal Yisrael does keep Torah, we are not only avodim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but we are banim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chazal tell us, man malki rabbanon. Who's considered a melech? Rabbanon, the rabbanim. And very often that's the truth. You sign a contract, you become a rav, you're the leader, you're in charge to a certain degree. You give the piskei halacha, you teach the shiurim. But to get to the next level in which people consider the rav not only to be the melech, but consider the rav to be an av, to be a father, that relationship comes not just because he's the one who sits in the front of the room, or not just because the Rebbeztin is the one who sits in the front of the shul, but because there's a relationship. And we all know that a relationship that's only based on physical things can't last. It requires an emotional connection. It requires a deeper connection. The feeling that has been felt and has been seen through the immense amount of volunteer work that has gone on in the shul for this dinner, that all happens because the connection which has developed is one that's based on ruchnius. When people come together to do chasadim together, to daven together, to learn together, there is a ruchniistic relationship. And there's no stronger relationship in the entire world than a relationship that's based on ruchnius. It's one that can never be severed, can never be severed if it continues. And the depth of connection produces feelings which are indescribable. And that is the feeling that I think makes this dinner unique. That we've gotten past just having a rav to give a speech, to give a psak, to sit in the front. We've gotten to a level where everyone in the shul has a relationship not only of melech but of av. And it's a relationship that everyone realizes they have because of its varuchni. Because we daven together, because we do chesed together, because we learn Torah together, because we support Torah together. And based on that relationship, we've come from 25 years ago being in one building on 2949 West Tui with orange chairs in the base Knesset and 100 members to being on 3050 West Tui with close to 290 members. And it's only based on, and it's only going to continue to be based on Ruchnias. When people can come together for that, wonderful things can happen. And wonderful things will continue to happen. Now, as Reb Heshi mentioned, my father asked if the people in the shul were willing to grow. And my brother Shmuley happened to have mentioned this to me several weeks ago, and I thought of a story that happened one day in the Long Beach Beis Medrash. Someone came in selling a sefer on the Masechta we were learning in yeshiva. And several of us bought it. Several of us still use it. And the second Seder Shalom Mesha told me afterwards that he had a hergish. And his hergish was, when he saw this person going around selling the sefer, that he had to be makir tov. He had to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom that he had talmidim. He had people to share his ideas with. He had people who he could tell his chidushim to. He had people with whom he could grow. He said it's something sometimes we take for granted. We assume if we have it, it's there. But it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. So the honor that we give tonight to my parents is really only because, we can't use the word only, but in many ways it's because the wonderful crowd that graces this room has been able to move along with my parents, has been able to grow with my parents, and has given my parents the desire and the success which continues to drive them. On behalf of my siblings, and on behalf of the 13 grandchildren, Kain Yirgu, I'd like to take this opportunity to be makir tov to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I went over my time limit, but I just want to share one more story. I teach a 9th grade class. 9th grade, what we would call Lumudei Chol, secular studies, in Lakewood. And whatever I'm teaching, somehow, I always manage to find something that's gone on in the shul, something that's gone on in the community, that connects to whatever we're learning. Math, science, social studies, history, English, literature. There's always a connection. Someone said to me, one of the students said to me, it must be a very interesting crowd. There's so many stories. I said, well, that's true. I said, but you have to realize something else. I said, you may daven in a shul that has as many people as my father's shul has. But there are very few shuls in which everyone in the shul shares everything they know with the Rav. So therefore, I'm not just exposed to the people who sit around me in shul. I've been exposed to the uniqueness and the wonderful characteristics of every single member of this kehillah. And it's helped myself and my siblings become who we are today. May we all be zeicha to continue this gewaltige avodas hakodesh together. Ad bi'az goel tzedek b'meher v'yameinu. And please turn your attention to the video screens.
Yasher koyach to AY for a job well done. Okay, Rabbi Cohen, Michal, Rebbeztin Cohen, please come forward. As well as all the dinner chair people, please come forward. If you're not coming, I will come and get you.
Yeah, what do you think? Huh? Yeah, I gotta get my stuff. Oh, yeah. No, we'll get it.
Okay. Is everybody here? Where's Naomi? Naomi. Who cares? Is everybody here? Yeah, she's coming. Okay. So first of all, a tremendous Yashar Koach to all of you for a phenomenal job. Okay, so we have a... Okay, Rabbi Cohen, I'm speaking, please. We have a number of gifts. Okay, the first gift is, I have a certificate for a round-trip ticket to Eretz Yisrael on a condition that you will be speaking to, giving a shir to the Chayalim in Eretz Yisrael. So that is number one. Number 2 and 3. Okay. I'm going to read the presented with respect and pride to Rabbi Zev and Michal Cohen in recognition of 25 years of Torah leadership to our shul and over 30 years of dedication to the Chicago Jewish community, Congregation of Das Yeshurun 44th anniversary dinner. There's a machlokas whether it's 44 or 43. Who cares? May 5th, 2013. So, Michal, this is yours. And Rabbi Cohen, this is yours. There is one other gift. I'm sorry?
Not black.
You're right. Okay, there's one other gift that we don't have here yet, but I encourage everybody to come to shul this coming Shabbos at the regular minyan. It means the one that starts at 8:45, not the one at whatever, 7:15, 7:30. And at that time, we will be presenting Rabbi Cohen and Rebbeztin Cohen with another gift. That's it. Okay. For those that vote, okay. Okay, so let's all crowd in here. Wow, this is really beautiful. Okay, come on, let's all go in. Come on, let's all go in. What? But the women have to come in also. They're more important.
That's okay. Just get the men in there.
Yeah, sure. But don't stand in front of the target. Okay.
It's okay, you can do the men. Okay. They all want dessert. I'm gonna hide.
I'd like to begin with Shevach Voidah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving us the schus to be a Rav in Klal Yisrael. I'd like to give Shevach Voidah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving us the schus to be a Rav and a Rebbeztin of such an incredible kehillah. Kehillah Kedosha of Adas Yeshurun. I'd like, it's a little hard for me to read this, I'm going to try. I'd like to give thanks to my parents, Aleim HaShalom, for everything that they did to to allow me and then to allow us to get to where we are. Brother L'chaim Tov Ma'aruchem, I'd like to thank my in-laws, my parents, my father-in-law, everything he did for Klal Yisrael, together with my mother-in-law, who should be Zeicha to Refuah Shlema B'Seich Shachal Yisrael. I'd like to thank Mari Rabbi, Rabbi Goiner Shiva Shlita, who should also be Zeicha to Refuah Shlema B'Seich Shachal Yisrael. I'd like to thank the fact that he's represented here by his son-in-law, Chaim Yeshua Hobman Shlita, the Rosh Yeshiva, together with the Rosh Yeshiva's daughter, who is here, together with Rabbi Respler, Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshiva, together with David Nassan Rothschild, the Executive Director of the Yeshiva. I'd like to thank Rebbeztin, someone who I have sat next to for the past 25 years. I'd like to thank the Rosh Yeshiva Shlita, Yeshivas tells, who I asked if I could become his Talmud, even though I never learned in the yeshiva. I'd like to thank Matis Yo, Shlita, Mashgiach, Lakewood, who I also asked, although I never learned in Lakewood at the same time, if he would adopt me as, and would allow me to make him my Mashgiach. I'd like to thank the Rosh Kollel, David Shlita, Moshe Shlita, for bringing us here. I'd like to thank all of our children, David Elisha and Rivki, Eli and Brachaleah, Shmuley and Rivki, Shlomi and Elisheva, for being such incredible children. I'd like to thank our Mechutanim who came out, the Newburgers. I'd like to thank my brother Moshe, Kiva, Chanali, for traveling here. Joey, I needed a list. I don't have a list up here of, I forgot to bring it up. I'd like to thank Joey and his Rebbeztin, Rebbeztin Elka, and Steve, and his Rebbeztin Malka, for everything that they have done, going well beyond the call of duty in so many areas. I'd like to thank Rav Heshi and Rav Herschel, the present presidents of the shul. I'd like to thank all the past presidents. I'd like to thank all of the people who are listed as the dinner chairman, as the honorary chairman, as the advocate coordinators for everything that they have done. And some of them have really also gone beyond the call of duty. All of them have given up their time, and some of them have just been incredibly super. I'd like to also thank, not everybody can understand this or perhaps appreciate it, but Ricky did mention, and I do have to thank the shul and him for the fact that there is a Choshen Mishpat Kollel, which has changed my life, had a profound effect upon all of us. And Achron Choviv, I'd like to thank every person who is a member of our Kehillah, every single one. 25 years. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank all of your children who I still keep in touch with, who sometimes I'm not allowed to tell you when they call me. I'd like to thank the more than almost more than 100 mishpachas who have moved to Eretz Yisrael in the last 25 years. I miss them. We try to stay in contact. I would like to thank all the members of the Choshen Mishpat Kollel. I'd like to thank all the members of the Yeshiva program. I'd like to thank all the members who attend the Night Seder program and all of the Yeshurun. I'd like to thank all the women in the Erica Nita Meir Women's Learning Division, and a special thanks to all of the young women from the Benos Tzion. Rabbi Sai, I am just amazed with thanks, overflowing with thanks. According to this wash, the thanks took 9 minutes. I'd like to say a vort. Vort's going to be rather serious. David Elisha asked me if I wrote the vort on the way here, which is what I told him I did at the first dinner and the 10th dinner. I did not. I have to tell you that I never did this before, but I wrote this vort 9 times. 9 different times. I like to say that I've spoken about what a shul means many times, and I've spoken about what a rav means several times. I've never spoken, very rarely have I spoken, about what it means to be a rav in the shul. So I'd like to begin by saying over a very short vort, 2 lines. Chavetz Chaim Zatzal in Parshas Emor quotes a medrash. It's a medrash that many of us know about the Daled Minim. And the medrash says, we all know there's a Jew who's tam b'reach, a Jew who's reach without tam, a Jew who's tam without reach, a Jew who has no tam and no reach, referred to by the Daled Minim. And then the medrash ends and says, Yavo elu v'chapru al elu. All of us together, Yavo elu v'chapru al elu. They should come and help each other. Says the Chavetz Chaim. The esrig is on a higher madrega than the other minim. It has tam and reach, good taste and good fragrance. Says the Chavetz Chaim. The esrig goes together with the other 3 minim only when the mitzvah is done. Then the esrig separates itself, and the other 3 minim remain together. So the person who published this sefer, Chavetz Chaim al HaTorah, then says, Chavetz Chaim used these words to speak to a group of Rabbonim. And then he says, Ashrei oizen shamat kol zois. Lucky is the ear who heard what the Chavetz Chaim said. He doesn't write what the Chavetz Chaim said. He said the Chavetz Chaim had this incredible, inspirational thought for Rabbonim based on this medrash, but he does not say what the Chavetz Chaim said. I don't have the audacity to say that I can tell you what the Chavetz Chaim said, but I would like to tell you perhaps what he might have said. Here we go, Rabbi say. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Bilam is called Bilam because he is Beloy Am. He did not belong to any nation of the world. Says the Maral, a human being must belong. Bilam did not belong. Number 1. Number 2. How do we, Klal Yisrael, belong? The answer is Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim, and in the center of Eretz Yisrael, in the center of Yerushalayim, is the Beis HaMikdash. When we have no Beis HaMikdash, says the Zichronot, at the end of Parshas Bahar, when we have no Beis HaMikdash, in its place we have a Beis HaKnesses and a Beis Medrash. Our shul and every shul, which is run properly, takes the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, one more Rashi. Rashi says an amazing thing. He quotes a medrash, and the medrash says also at the end of Bahar, if a person is sold as a slave, and he has a master, and the master is non-Jewish, and the master is Michal Shabbos, says Rashi, if your Rebbe is Michal Shabbos, maybe you should also be Michal Shabbos. Unbelievable medrash. How can there be such a thing? Number one. Number two, why the Chazal, which Rashi is quoting, use the word Rebbe? Rebbe, for a non-Jewish slave owner. We call him Rebbe. He's a Michal Shabbos. He's a Megala Arayis. He doesn't believe in God. He's called Rebbe. The Meshech Chochmah says in Parshas Kedoshim, on another similar concept, if one's parent tells them to be Michal Shabbos, says the Pasuk, we need a Pasuk to teach us that you don't listen to your parent who tells you to be Michal Shabbos. Ask the Meshech Chochmah, I need a Pasuk. Who would think that if your father or your mother, Rahman al-Islam, would tell you to be Michal Shabbos, you should listen to them? Says the Meshech Chochmah that there's a Havamina. And the Havamina, I believe, he means the following. There's a thought that it's impossible for a human being to succeed in life without having a Masorah. A Masorah means a transmission from the previous generation. A person only can live with transmission from a previous generation. What happens if a person doesn't have the right transmission, the right Masorah? What should he or she do? There's a Havamina that if a person has parents and the parents tell him to do the wrong thing, you should listen to them because you can't survive without a Masorah. There's a Havamina that if you are owned by a person who does terrible things, maybe one should follow him because you have no other Masorah. Two psukim in the Torah that tell us that's not what we do. What do we do? What I believe we do is, Rabbi say, besides having a Beis HaMikdash, we have a Cohen Gadol. The Cohen Gadol in the Beis HaMikdash is the transmission of the Masorah. He goes inside the Kachei Kachim, he uses the Urim V'Tumim, and he tells the Jewish people what to do. We don't have that any longer. We don't have that any longer. Matter of fact, the Rambam asks if a Navi is not allowed to paskin any shaylos, which we're going to talk about Shavuos night, if a Navi is not allowed to answer any halachic shaylos through prophecy, so what's the purpose of having a Navi? The Rambam says the purpose of having a Navi is to tell us not what the halacha is, but to tell us how we're supposed to act, what we're supposed to strive for. The Rambam uses the word musar. I'd like to say the following, Rabbi say. I know we make a lot of jokes about it, and my wife always jokes about it. My life is taking a right on Sacramento, going north to the light, taking a left on Tui now, and then making a right into the parking lot, into this great gift, Rav Heshi, wherever you are, into this great gift that says my parking spot. So I don't have to get any anxiety. I have a parking spot. It's gewaldig. It's gewaldig. The reason why I am zoicha to have such a life, I take a right, and then I take a left, and then I take a right, and then I go home, and I take a left, then I take a right, then I take a left. Then I go back to shul, and I take a right, and I take a left, I take a right. Then I go back home, and I go back to shul. In between, I change from my black suit to my other black suit, to a different black suit. And I go back and forth. And I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. I'm sitting in Beis Medrash. I'm sitting in my house. And the reason I'm so lucky is because people ask me things. which forces me to think and to learn and to steig. I think, Rabbi say, that the Medrash that Chavetz Chaim quoted, Bo Elu v'chapru al Elu, means the following. The Rav has to go home sometimes. And when he's home, he has to be working. And he's working to help the Kehillah. But without the constructive criticism of the Kehillah, the Rav can't grow. And without the Musar of the Rav, the Kehillah can't grow. And although the Kehillah is bound together, and the Rav is together with them, as the Medrash says, when the mitzvahs are being done, such as davening together, learning together, hakafas together, chasanas together, kiddush together, hoshanas together. Oh, we together by hoshanas. Hoshanas together. And everything else that we do together. And then I kind of leave, and I'm under pressure. People have asked me things, people have told me things, people have given me ideas, and people have given me corrections. Bo elu v'chapru al elu. Together, Rabbi say, we make a kehillah. Together, we create a Messiah. Together, we make a kehillah kedosha. The Beis HaLevi was appointed Rav. As the minig was, sometimes, when the Rav was brought to the city by wagon, they unhitched the horses. And people pulled the wagon. So as the Beis HaLevi was being pulled into the city to become the Rav, someone said, okay, I'll pull the Rav. But the Rebbeztin's also in the wagon. I'm not pulling the Rebbeztin. That was a statement. So the Beis HaLevi waited a few days and called in this person who made this statement. The Beis HaLevi heard the statement. The Beis HaLevi saw who the person was. He called the person in. So he said like this, a Rav doesn't necessarily have to paskin all the shilas. There's a dayan in town. A Rav doesn't necessarily have to give all the shurim. There are Rebbeim in town. There are sheikhtim in town. There are many different people who do many different things. The Rav doesn't have to do them all. So what does the Rav have to do? So the Beis HaLevi said the Rav has to give Musar. So said the Beis HaLevi, so who gives Musar to the Rav? The Rebbeztin. So I don't want to say that. That's not what I want to say. I want to say the following. Who is there when the Rav is exhausted? Who is there trying to speak to her husband when another phone call comes through? Who is there to allow me to prepare for Shabbos HaGadol starting on Shushan Purim, to prepare for Shavuos starting on Isru Chag, and to prepare for Shabbos Shuvah starting on Rosh Chodesh El? Who's there? Who is there during all the trying times, not giving Musar, giving Chizuk? That's the Rebbeztin. That's the Rebbeztin. And without my wife, as I said earlier, I wouldn't be here. 25 years ago, I was younger, I was thinner, hard to believe, and I definitely had a lot more darker hair. So what have I gained in 25 years? I realized what I gained in 25 years is the ability to have so much siyata d'shmaya, the ability to become a mature person. Maybe some people would disagree with that, to become a mature person. The ability to understand responsibility. Bo elu v'chapru al elu. There is no way in the world that could have been done without you. it's worth it. I'd like to lose the weight, but it's worth the years, and it's worth the gray hairs. It's all worth it. A very prominent Rav, called me today to wish me atzlacha. He said he can't make it. I told him it's fine. He said he wants to tell me a vort. He said, when you're married for 25 years, it's a silver anniversary. But when you're a Rav for 25 years in the same kehillah, it's a golden anniversary. Now he said, because you made it. Michal said, because we got the gold. That's it, Rabbi say. We have the gold, we got the gold, and we got the gold because we're together. We should all be zoicha to continue. I don't know what happens after another 25 years. It's platinum. I don't know what happens. But let's make the trek. Let's see what it will be like. Let's continue steiging. Let's be zoicha to greet Mashiach. And let's be the shul that Mashiach will say that you are zoicha to take your shul. I've always had this shaila. If we are zoicha to go as a shul and take the building to Eretz Yisrael, do we also take the parking lot? Let's wait and see, Rabbi Say. Mazel, brach, and atzlocha for being the most wonderful kehillah in the world.